Hello and welcome to Really Big Hat. I'm Jared and this is D&D Quick Builds where we build D&D characters quickly. Today we'll be building the Negotiator, a mystical master of the mind who can convince anyone to do anything, whether they want to or not, and whether they're even aware that they're doing it or not. So let's get started. So we have called ourselves the Negotiator, air quotes heavily implied, and we are going to activate our optional class features and customize our origin. For our race, we're going with Tiefling. That gets us Dark Vision, Hellish Resistance, Infernal Legacy. We are also going to go over to our Origin Manager and select the Ability Score Increase option here. And with our increase, we're going to increase our Charisma by 2 and our Constitution by 1. So, for our class, we are going with Sorcerer. For our origin, we are going with Aberrant Mind. That gets us Psionic Spells and Telepathic Speech, both good features. Psionic Spells gives us an additional spell list of spells that are always prepared for us, count as sorcerer spells, and don't count against our spells known. And we've got some good ones in here, and this will drastically increase our versatility as a sorcerer. It's a very good feature. And down here, Telepathic Speech does right what it says on the label. We can create a connection with a creature we can see within 30 feet of us and then communicate with them telepathically as long as we're speaking a language they understand, and it'll last a number of minutes equal to our sorcerer level. As for our optional features, we definitely want to activate the additional spells. We want the additional metamagic options, and we'll go ahead and pick up Magical Guidance. Sorceress Versatility, this is up to you whether you want to take it or not. I already know where I'm going with the build, so I don't actually need it. Now on to our spells at level 1. For our cantrips, I've picked up Booming Blade and Firebolt for our offensive ones, and Friends and Message for our utility. And for our first level spells, I've picked up Charm Person and Disguise Self. We will also know, from our Psionic spell list, Arms of Adar, Dissonant Whispers, and Mind Sliver. And already you can see the idea behind the character. We are going to use our various magical abilities to control the minds of others, call it Persuasion, and then call it a day. For our ability scores, I've gone with a point buy. I've left Strength at 8, I've brought Dexterity up to 14, Constitution up to 15, which will reach 16 with our racial bonus. I've brought Intelligence and Wisdom up to 10. Again, if you're more concerned about one of these skills or one of these saving throws, you can bring one of these up to 12 and leave the other at 8, but that's a decision that's totally up to you. I like to keep them even personally. And we've also brought our Charisma up to 14, and the total on that will be 16 with our racial bonus as well. For our background, I've taken Criminal/Spy. That gets us Deception and Stealth proficiencies as well as Thieves tools. And this is a good time to actually come back here and talk about our other proficiencies, which I have taken Persuasion and Intimidation to round off all 3 social skills. This is actually important. You want to be able to get 2 from here and then 1 from your background in order to get all 3. You can do it in a number of different ways, but this one is surefire to work, as you can see. For our starting equipment, I have gone ahead and selected equipment. Going to go ahead and pick up the light crossbow and the 20 bolts, grab a components pouch, an explorer's pack, get a couple of daggers, and I also get a crowbar, a set of dark clothes, and a pouch containing 15 gold from the background. Again, this is all pretty much up to you. One thing you do want is at least 1 dagger so that you have something to use Booming Blade with, but other than that, these choices are really up to you. And so here's our character sheet at level 1. At 9 HP and 12 armor class, we're definitely on the squishy side, so try and stay off the front lines if you can. But we do have 6 cantrips and 4 first level spells to pull from, so we've got a lot of options. Particularly of note is Dissonant Whispers here, which does 3d6 psychic damage. At level 1, that is insanely powerful. But other than that, our job is actually going to be fulfilled outside of combat. We're going to use spells such as Friends, Message, Disguise Self, Charm Person to manipulate the social situation to benefit us. And if combat comes, it comes and we can use Dissonant Whispers and melt somebody's brain. At level 2 of Sorcerer, we pick up Font of Magic, which right now basically allows us to trade sorcery points for spell slots and vice versa at different rates. You can see the table here. And we also pick up another spell, and I have grabbed Shield. Very good defensive spell, always useful to have. If you see it, take it, basically. At level 3, we really kick into gear. We get a couple of spells from our Psionic spell list in Calm Emotions and Detect Thoughts for some more mind control shenanigans. And we also get access to meta magic. What we want to pick up first and foremost, above all else, is Subtle Spell. That'll let us cast our spells without any somatic or verbal components. The second option is up to you. I've selected Quicken Spell here because it's just plain old useful, but there are a couple of options that are plain old useful, so go with what you want, but definitely pick up Subtle Spell. And as for our spell selection this level, I have grabbed Suggestion. Obviously, we are now already at level 3, a master manipulator and a mind control expert. The combination of Subtle Spell and Suggestion is one of my favorites in the game. We can do stuff like, just in casual conversation, cast Subtle Spell Suggestion and ask somebody to head to the next town over and pick us up a drink from the tavern. And if that someone happened to be a town guard who was in the way of our heist, well, so be it. As you can see, the options are kind of limitless here, and you really should have fun with it. Another fun idea is to use Subtle Spell with Dissonant Whispers to melt someone's brain and send them fleeing in terror without anybody knowing how or why. It's a little bit up to your DM's interpretation, whether, the target themselves even knows they're under attack, but hey, roll a real-life charisma check and try and get away with whatever you can here. At level 4, you pick up an ability score improvement. Go ahead and bump up your charisma here. We also get new spells. I have taken Minor Illusion as our new cantrip and Misty Step as our new spell. At level 5, we get access to 3rd level spells. We get Hunger of Hadar and Sending from our Psionic spells list. And for our spell of choice, I have taken Enemies Abound, another fun one to cast with Subtle Spell. Send an enemy into a murderous frenzy, and no one will even know how or why. It is great fun. At level 6, we get a couple of features from Aberrant Mind. First off, we get Psionic Sorcery. So when we cast a spell of 1st level or higher from our Psionic Spells feature, we can cast it by expending a spell slot as normal, or by spending a number of sorcery points equal to that spell's level. And if we cast it with sorcery points, it requires no verbal or somatic components, and it requires no material components unless they're consumed. This is basically a backhanded way to get Subtle Spell on it, but since we already have Subtle Spell, and that's usually going to be cheaper, that's typically going to be the way to go. Really, this is going to be useful for us only when we're out of spell slots, but we aren't out of sorcery points, and we need to cast something from the Psionic spells list. But we also get Psychic Defenses at this level, which gives us resistance to psychic damage, and we have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. So in a hypothetical mirror match against another mind controller, we've got some defenses. And for our spell choice at 6th level, I have picked up Fear, another great spell, and another fun one to cast with Subtle Spell so that nobody knows what's going on. Jumping ahead to level 8, we get an ability score improvement. Go ahead and cap off your charisma here. And we also get a couple of 4th level spells along the way, and I'm going to take Charm Monster and Dominate Beast. Moving on to level 10, we get another meta magic option. I have taken Heighten Spell to help you really get those important castings to connect. And we also get a couple of new spells. First, we get another cantrip. I've grabbed Mage Hand, and we get a couple of 5th level spells. I've taken Dominate Person and Seeming. At level 12, we get another ability score improvement. Go ahead and bump up your Constitution here. We also get a 6th level spell, and I have taken Mass Suggestion. Now we can pull that suggestion trick on a large scale, so have a lot of fun with that. At level 14 of Aberrant Mind Sorcerer, we get the Revelation in Flesh feature. There's a number of cool options here, all of which you can activate for a sorcery point and last for 10 minutes. There's one that lets you see invisible creatures, one gets you a flying speed equal to your walking speed and lets you hover, one gives you a swimming speed equal to twice your walking speed, you can breathe underwater, and one of them allows you to turn yourself slimy and squeeze through any space as narrow as an inch. So, pretty cool. We also get a 7th level spell, and I have taken Power Word Pain. Very useful for shutting down enemy spellcasters, in particular. At level 16, we get another ability score improvement. Go ahead and cap off your Constitution here. And we also get an 8th level spell, and I have taken Dominate Monster. The mind control continues. At level 17, we pick up another meta magic option. I have gone ahead and picked up Twin Spell. And we also get a 9th level spell, and I have picked up Power Word Kill. Now we can just say die, and they obey. At level 18 of Aberrant Mind, we get the Warping Implosion feature, which allows you to teleport and leave behind a little implosion that'll deal force damage and pull things towards the center point. At this level of play, it's honestly not that useful, but it's still cool. And finally, at level 20, we get another ability score improvement at 19, and I've picked up the Tough Feat. And at level 20, we get the Sorceress Restoration feature, which lets us regain 4 expended sorcery points whenever we finish a short rest. So, as we look over our sheet at level 20, let's talk about the build. Obviously, our primary role is as the face of the party, wheeling and dealing with charisma checks until the point where spellcasting becomes necessary, at which point we whip out Subtle Spell with our various enchantment and illusion spells to confuse, distract, or straight up mind control our target. In combat, we're more of a controller, using our mind control spells to pacify or at the very least distract key threats as our party mops up the rest of the encounter. But this character really shines in social situations. Using Subtle Spell along with spells like Suggestion or Dominate Person can swing just about any social situation onto your side, assuming the target fails their save. An option is to take the Lucky Feat for such an occasion, to help make sure you succeed on the check, or to take the new Silvery Barb spell, assuming it hasn't been banned at your table. Both of those will help our key spells land more often. Anyway, that'll do it for the build. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.